Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring Srimad Bhagavad Gita, commentaries by Swami Jyotirmayananda, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So today we are starting chapter number 6, known as Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation. Meditation is the most profound and effective technique in the practice of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Karma is action, yoga of devotion, and yoga of wisdom. The present chapter, therefore, elaborates upon the art of practicing meditation, which is the basis of all the mystic movements of the world. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha अनाश्रितः कर्मफलं कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः. Lord Krishna said, a true sannyasi yogi is one who performs actions without depending upon the fruits of his actions, not one who has merely renounced the sacrificial fire and the performance of rituals. So, here God is guiding us that the real sacrifice is in our sadhana, in our penance, and not just in doing external rituals, whether we are a householder or a sannyasi. Moving on to shloka number 2. Yam sannyaasamiti prahur yogam cha tam vidhi pandava na hayya sannyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. O Arjuna, whatever the scriptures say about sannyasa, the same also applies to yoga, because without renouncing the fruits of actions, no one can become a yogi. Yogi means to connect with God, and when you connect with God, how do you do it? Not by being selfish, you only do it by becoming universal and treating everybody the same as you. So that is what God is saying. Being a yogi by definition means renouncing, no matter whether you are doing karma yoga, bhakti yoga, or dhyana yoga. When you do actions, you do selfless actions. When you pray for everyone. And when you are gaining wisdom, you share it with others. Do jnana yajna. Only then we are yogis in the truest sense. Shloka number 3. Arurukshormunir karma karanamuchyate yogarudasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate. For the Muni, a yogi devoted to meditation, who is ascending the yogic ladder, action or karma is his means for spiritual progress, while for one who has ascended the ladder, serenity is described as his means for attaining the fullness of wisdom. So, very simple, very clear shloka that spiritual progress is taking one step at a time, it's a gradual process, and serenity is described as the means. We cannot do spirituality by getting agitated, it has to be peaceful and serene, and then wisdom dawns. Moving on to shloka 4. Yada hinendriyartheshu na karma swanushajyate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudasta uchyate. When the sage is not attached to the objects of the senses nor to actions, and has renounced all desires, fruits of actions, he is called a yoga ruda, a yogi who has ascended the ladder of yoga. meaning attained union with God. Till then, we are aspirants. Doesn't matter whether we are swamis or sannyasis. If we are on the journey to realization, then that is called our tapasya, our penance, our sacrifice. And once we attain self realization, then we become siddhas or enlightened beings. But till then, we must continue to climb one rung at a time, carefully, without getting attached to the senses, and by renouncing all desires, which is a challenging task, as we all know. So therefore, it's a ongoing journey. Shloka number 5. Uddharetatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hayyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. This is a very profound shlok. Some shlokas where God pours in a lot of depth. In this one, he is one such shloka. Let a yogi lift himself, meaning your lower self, by himself, his higher self. He should not drag himself down into a degraded condition, because he is his own friend and his own enemy. So, our mind is our best friend or our worst enemy. And if we are truly walking on this path of the yoga, then we have to lift our lower self by our higher self. What is the lower self? The self that makes us do wrong things, that makes us get stuck in the world process, full of desires, anger, lust, jealousy, greed, selfishness. That is the lower self, ego. That is the lower self that keeps on dragging us away from spirituality, back into the world process. And the higher self is our meditation, our tapasya, our walking on the righteous path, truth, and kindness, compassion, love. All these are the higher forces. But the higher self truly is the one consciousness within us, the Atma. And once we realize that, then we pick up our lower self, we raise it by our higher self, and thus we make our mind our best friend. For if the lower self becomes overpowering, then we become our own worst enemy, and that is to be avoided at all costs. That is what uh, this shloka is. Human body is extremely beneficial for our evolution. It's a great gift from God, but if we don't use it properly, it can become degrading and rob us of our spiritual wealth. So therefore, we should be very cautious and on guard, and practice our sadhana regularly. Shloka number 6. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutvair vatetatmaiva shatruvat. For one who has conquered his self, by his self, his very self becomes his friend. But for one who has not conquered his self, his very self becomes his enemy. What does that mean? That means that just like the previous shloka, here God is re emphasizing that if we don't do it properly, if our higher self is not lifting the lower self, but it's happening the other way around, then we are our own enemy. But if our higher self is successful in lifting our lower self, then we become our best friend, and we are well on our way to self realization. That's the meaning. Shloka 7. Jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitah शीतोष्ण सुख दुखेषु तथा manapamanayoh. One who has conquered his self, the lower self, and has become peaceful, who remains balanced in cold and heat, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. His mind becomes centered on the Supreme Self. So, that yogi who has successfully raised his lower self higher through the through his spiritual practice, and he will experience peace, serenity, joy, inner contentment. And when externally the things will be the same, the world doesn't change just because you are changing. So you will constantly still face hot and cold, pleasure, pain, honor, dishonor, but that yogi will be in equanimity under all conditions. Why? Because he is not dependent anymore on the external conditions. He already has found the oasis within his own self, his own heart. So he is peaceful no matter what the external condition. So that is the reward that we are blessed with if we follow this path in a proper way. Shloka number 8. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Samaloštashma Kanchanaha. That yogi is united with the divine self, whose mind is contented due to knowledge and realization, who is immutable due to his mastery over the senses, and for whom a clod of earth, a stone, and gold are one and the same. Another profound shloka where once we achieve that state of equanimity and peace, the calm within, then the mind becomes contented, because now we have the knowledge and realization, and therefore we have mastered the senses. In that case, this world becomes like a dream, transient. So it doesn't make a difference when a realized person sees a stone or mud or gold. That doesn't mean he's dumb, like he doesn't know that gold is more expensive than earth and a stone, but he is not attached to it like ordinary worldly people. He views everything as transient, which means it's here today and tomorrow it will be gone, including our bodies. When the body itself will not stay, then what to speak of these external objects? So that's the deeper meaning of this thing, that they see everything with equanimity. Practically, of course, the behavior is the same. They will still keep gold inside the locker and the stones will be outside. They wouldn't do it the other way, saying they're all the same. What difference does it make? No. Life at a practical level must continue the way it is happening, but inwardly the journey is completely serene. And that is the shloka number 8, and we will continue this journey in tomorrow's satsanga. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.